let's clear something up right now. Your boundaries are not too much. Your standards are not unreasonable. The fact that you refuse to settle for less is not a problem. The only people who will ever make you feel guilty for having boundaries are the ones who benefited when you had none. And if you've ever felt like you were too much for people just because you asked for the bare minimum, this episode is for you. Welcome back to Destini Unfiltered, where we stop settling, start healing, and step into our highest selves. I'm Destini Taylor, and today we're breaking down why your boundaries aren't too much. They're just too much for the wrong people. How to stop feeling guilty for protecting your peace, and why the right people will never make you question whether or not you're asking for too much. Let's start with the truth about boundaries and why people hate them. Let's be real. People love you most when you're easy to control. When you're too afraid to say no, when you're more worried about their comfort than your own well being. That's why the moment you set boundaries, some people start acting different. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because they can no longer take advantage of your silence, your kindness, or your lack of limits. And let me tell you something. Anyone who gets angry when you set boundaries was only comfortable because you had none. Let's talk about 3 signs your boundaries are just too much for the wrong people. 1, you've been called too sensitive or too much just for expressing your needs. You say you don't like something, they call you dramatic. You express a very real need, they say you're needy. You set a basic boundary, they say you're selfish. But let's be honest, you're not asking for too much. You're just asking people to be decent human beings. And if someone can't handle that, they are not your people. 2, they respected you more when you tolerated their crap. The moment you stopped over explaining yourself, they got distant. The moment you stopped being available for their drama, they got cold. The moment you started requiring accountability, they disappeared. Why? Because they weren't respecting you. They were just taking advantage of your tolerance. And the second you decided you were done being used, drained, or manipulated, they labeled you as difficult. But guess what? You are not difficult. You're just done being disrespected. And the third sign, they only like you when you're easy to control. Some people don't want relationships, they want power. And as long as you're bending over backwards for them, they love you. As long as you're easy to manipulate, you're their favorite person. As long as you make their life easier at the expense of your own, you're amazing. But the moment you set a boundary, they flip the script. Suddenly, you're too much. Suddenly, you're the problem. And that's how you know. Your boundaries were never the problem. Your boundaries just exposed who they really are. Now let's talk about how to stop feeling guilty for protecting your peace. You got to stop apologizing for having standards. It is not your job to shrink yourself to make people comfortable. It is not your responsibility to make everyone happy at your own expense. You deserve relationships that don't require you to abandon yourself. You have to realize that losing people is a part of leveling up. Yes, setting boundaries will make some people uncomfortable. Yes, some people will fall away when they realize they can no longer use you. But anyone who leaves because you refuse to tolerate mistreatment was never meant to stay anyway. I want you to understand that the right people will respect your boundaries without question. They won't argue with you about them. They won't try to guilt trip you into breaking them. They won't make you feel crazy just for asking for basic respect. The right people don't make you feel like you're too much. The right people make you feel safe being exactly who you are. Your boundaries are not the problem. So let me remind you, your boundaries are not too much. Your standards are not unreasonable. And the right people will never make you feel guilty for protecting your peace. So stop questioning yourself. Stop shrinking yourself. Stop feeling guilty for demanding the love and respect you actually deserve. Because if someone has a problem with your boundaries, they were never meant to be in your life to begin with. If this episode hit home, let's talk about it. Drop a comment or send me a message. What's one boundary you're no longer apologizing for? Make sure you're subscribed to Destiny Unfiltered so you never miss an episode that could change your life. Share this with someone who needs this reminder today. And until next time, protect your peace unapologetically.